Jose Ramirez comes back, and the Guardians are 0-2. We've seen the problem, right? The Guardians continue to find ways to get you excited and then turn right back around and get you frustrated. Can they turn it around?
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Woo, it has been a week. We started out with the highs of 7 home runs, a win on Tuesday to keep it going. Jose Ramirez comes back Wednesday. We all get excited. And now we head to the weekend. Everybody is frustrated, exhausted, and we're just going to keep this cycle going until the Guardians either figure it out or they won't. At some point, you are who you are. And I hope they prove who they are. Who was that? Was that Dennis Green of the Arizona Cardinals? They are who we thought we were. And let them off the hook. The Guardians continue to not hold, I don't know what the right, accountable, whatever you want to call it. They're discombobulated, and so am I. This is Locked On Guardians, your only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast that is going to talk about your Cleveland Guardians every single day, no matter how frustrating they are, no matter how fun they are. We're here every day, every exhausting moment here with you because you show up every day looking for it, and we appreciate that. Otherwise, we're just talking to a wall of ourselves, and we could do that anytime, but it's more fun with you. We'll get into what positions the Guardians can or can't upgrade at the trade deadline. We'll talk about what decisions really matter because the Guardians roster may or may not just not be performing. It may not matter what decisions are made. We start off today's show talking about Gavin Williams' great performance. Now the Guardians could not put it all together. And today's episode of Locked On Guardians is brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use code LOCKDOWN to get $10 when you trade 10 Kalshi. Trade on anything. That's Jeff Ellis, who has been here for 8 years hosting the show. I'm Justin Lada. I've been here for 4 years with you, and Jeff spent lots of time together covering the Guardians minor league system and the draft. 19 years of it. Yeah, Gavin Williams went out. I really thought this was going to go well. Gavin Williams had that immaculate inning. He had his best stuff, and I was like, man, this is what they need. They've not had good success against Taj Bradley this year. And to be fair, Taj Bradley's had a really good year against everybody, not just the Guardians. But I thought, man, Gavin Williams is really dominating. They might walk away with this win by the skin of their teeth. Gavin Williams really did what you needed him to do. And then I know everybody wants to blame the bullpen, but the bullpen gave up one run that really mattered. And then after that, it's the extra inning thing, and you get 0 for 17 with runners in scoring position, and that just kind of overshadows everything.
Yeah, I mean, they got on base one less time, but what it came down to is they had a hit in the third, a hit in the fifth, a hit in the eighth, and that was it. And I know a lot of people are going to sit out there and be like, the bullpen. And then, a lot of people are like, Gaddis. Weird thing about Gaddis, he actually hadn't been walking guys this year. And honestly, his at-bat against Trevor Larnach was just one of the best pitching at-bats of the game for this team. I just wish he maybe just stuck to only throwing changeups that inning. So
yeah, it seemed like today that was the only pitch he had.
That was the only pitch he could spot.
Yeah.
And it made me dive into him more, which is weird because 48% of the time he throws a slider and it's far and away his worst pitch. So instead of using the four-seamer or the changeup, he's leading into, the other two combined are 51%, and the extra 1% they say is a splitter. I don't know if I would count that or not. I feel like some kind of computer error, but 51% of the time is those two, and then 48% is the slider that just isn't as strong. But I'm not here to bury Gaddis. Like, yes, it was frustrating, but your offense needs more than 3 hits.
How about just one hit with runners in scoring? One hit would have won.
They didn't have a hit. They didn't have a hit after the 8th. And if you look at the 4th inning, the 10th inning, the 11th inning, and the 12th inning, you had runners at second base with no outs. I believe Chase DeLauder was at second base or was it Quan? Yeah, no, it was 1 out for DeLauder because Quan got the hit, then DeLauder knocked the ball. Fielder's choice situation. So. Yeah, they had multiple chances in spite of this, but it just came down to it's like you had Bailey's home run in the 5th, 8th inning, you had one more hit, or maybe the 8th was Quan's hit, and then no, it had to be because Quan had 2 hits. So Quan had a hit in the 3rd and the 8th, Bailey had one in the 5th, and that's all she wrote for the entire team today. And I can't blame the bullpen. Yeah, it's annoying what happened with Gaddis. It's annoying that like Cade comes in and immediately first pitch kind of hangs one, but I'm not faulting them in this one. plain and simply,
a 1-run lead. Like
offense needs to step up and do more. Taj Bradley has been extremely tough all year, but it's a weak bullpen against the Twins. You can debate, you and I had some off-air ones about the whole, like, I still think Chase DeLauder should have bunted. You got to be honest, in the 11th. I don't know why he didn't. I know Patrick Bailey failed to bunt, but how can you be mad at Bailey? We have one commenter, one of our everydayers, Puppy Brand, who like hates Patrick Bailey with a flaming passion that I don't even know I hate for anything. But like Bailey had a huge challenge. He had the home run that was the only offense.
Bailey had 2 calls overturned as the catcher, and then he had the home run.
And
he drove in the only run today.
Yeah, and like talking to people with the team, like his game calling is great. Like I also saw that same person say they had bad game calling. I don't think Gavin Williams strikes out 11, goes 7 without giving up a run with bad pitch calling. Like I think Bailey was one of the bright spots, but the problem is you had him and Quan, and that's basically it.
Yeah, Quan's been great. Yeah, that's the frustrating thing. It's like this whole series, right? You had the 7 home runs on Monday, which, we knew wasn't going to be repeatable, especially by Petey Halpin. And a lot of people got excited about Petey Halpin. I was like, that's great, but we'll see. And Angel Martinez probably is flying to Tampa with the team for this weekend. So I would expect if Angel's not in the lineup on Friday, I would probably guess Saturday. He says he's ready to go. So I would imagine if it's not Friday, it's Saturday. He'll be with them in Tampa. And I'm sure Petey Halpin will stay back and play wherever Columbus is playing in St. Paul. So he'll get to continue his time on against the Twins organization and probably do really well. But like on Tuesday, you didn't hit any home runs, but you won 5-2. You had a little bit of a breathing room. They did the little things well because that was the game where they had the bases loaded and they got 2 sac flies in the same inning. And I'm like, great. So they didn't need the home run tonight. They were able to manufacture runs another way. You get excited about like, okay, they're winning games in different ways. They're being versatile. And then, Jose's coming back. And then they make stupid mistakes on Wednesday with errors. They hit enough. They should have won by offense, but the errors let you down. And then on Thursday, the offense doesn't show up. It's like they're having a very hard time putting each individual facet of the game together. When they hit well, they're not playing good defense. When they pitch well and play good defense and they don't hit, like, yeah, that's the hard part, is having all this connect together. Like, the Boston Red Sox just won 14 or 15 in a row, and they finally lost on Wednesday, but in the doubleheader. But, I don't even know if we need the Guardians to go on a 14 or 15 game winning streak. It would just be nice to see them win, 5, 6 in a row at some point and feel like they're sustaining some momentum. And I don't know how they're going to do that, for the thing we complained about the other night about the defense and the fundamentals. And then you go 0 for 17 with runner. I mean, they didn't even move a runner over in extra innings, did they? Like, I know Jose got intentionally walked.
Yeah, Bailey failed. Well, like, they didn't have Chase try, and then they were down 2, so they couldn't afford to give up the out. But it's like, again, Chase DeLauder should have been bunting. Like, I don't know why they didn't try. I don't care what his ability level is. Very clearly, Patrick Bailey could not bunt. So, it's like you still try it, and then you can always have a 2-stroke approach there. But yeah, that was a weird one to me, because once you get the runner to third, there's so much pressure on the other team, and they don't have a deep end. They don't have a lot, like, just amp up that pressure. Like that's the biggest thing.
Even more is they walked 3 times off Taj Bradley. So even though they didn't get the big hits, like they only had 3 hits, you had 3 walks against Bradley. Like, you talked about the 4th inning where I believe DeLauder was the third with 1 out, and they never got him home. Andres Gomez walked 2, and then I know, was it Rogers or Anderson who put Jose? I think it was Rogers intentionally, but still, you had 5. You had 6 legitimate walks in this one, so you still had 9 base runners overall. I don't know what that equates to in your box score bingo, but it should. Well,
then you have to, like I said, I have to add in. So they had 13 total base runners because they had, the 10th, 11th, 12th. They got 3 free base runners. So they had 10 total base runners throughout this one, and it just
none of those base runners got to third base with
expected runs is 4, and
that wins the game. You just get 1 hit. You move the ball. I thought, oh, this is great. You go to extra innings, they're walking this off, because I trusted the Guardians bullpen more than the Twins bullpen, and I thought extra innings rules favors the home team, because the visiting team has to play for 2 runs, because if you just get the 1 run, you assume the other team's going to get 1 run because they're going to bunt and hit a sac fly. The Guardians couldn't even do that, so it just kept being futile. And then unfortunately, Sobrowski came in and he didn't do well because, he got 4 outs the other day and looked great. He didn't look great in this one. It is what it is.
No.
Colin Holderman sure did his best. God, he went, was the 10th and the 11th he pitched? Yeah, he pitched 10th and the 11th.
10th and the 11th, yeah. Yeah, he was fantastic.
He
He's one of the 3 stars for me in this one.
Yeah, I'm not mad at Gaddis. Cade Smith, even though he gave the 2 hits, was still, you asked him to get a 5-out save. That's very hard to do with runners on in the 8th inning. So you're asking a lot of him there. So Gaddis is still good. Smith is still good. Holderman is still good. Beyond that, in the bullpen, I'm still not sure who else belongs in that circle of trust, but it doesn't matter. When you go for 17 with runners in scoring position, it doesn't matter.
It's on the offense, pure and simple. There's no way. Yeah. Again, you can be frustrated with Gaddis. You can be frustrated with the bullpen. You can be frustrated with Sobrowski because, gosh, at the beginning of the year, he looked like something special, and now he doesn't. But bottom line, they didn't do enough.
I was hoping Wednesday was the turnaround point.
Yeah, they didn't do enough offensively. They laid an egg, which is really unfortunate. I know we had a bounce to break. This is like their worst production in terms of base runners in a lot of games. They'd come back from the break, and they did lay 2 eggs against Pittsburgh, but before that, they were really good. Like, they've done better hitting wise of late. This was not the
that Marlins series, and they even hit the ball decently in the Pirates series. They just didn't come through in the clutch in some of those outings. All right, we'll talk about what decisions matter for the Guardians in terms of decision making, lineup making, and whether or not it does actually matter who plays where, because if they can't come through, you're just kind of rearranging chair. I don't want to say this is dramatic to say rearranging chairs in the Titanic, but it's not that bad. But this is the best analogy I come up with. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about what positions the Guardians actually can probably upgrade at the deadline. And of course, you want to make sure this time of year you are checking out all the options from the Everyday Icon. That is presented by Stance. As the Everyday Icon is presented by Stance, the official sock partner of Major League Baseball. Stance knows that greatness isn't built in a single moment. It is earned over time through consistency, preparation, showing up every single day. And that's why each week we're recognizing a player whose performance embodies those same qualities. I think the easy answer in this one is Gavin Williams, right? 7 innings, 2 hits, 11 strikeouts. And this is his 3rd straight outing where he's had double-digit strikeouts in a row, I believe. Yes, 11 against the Twins, and then on July 9th before the break, and then July 18th out of the break, 11 strikeouts, even though he gave up 5 runs in that game. So he's had 33 strikeouts in his last 3 starts, and that's spanning 20 innings. Pretty good from Gavin Williams. Those are at least 2 games you'd like to have won. The Guardians went, unfortunately, 1-2 in those 3 games. That's not great, but Gavin Williams certainly showing up and doing his part. They're going to need that down the stretch from him. The Everyday Icon is presented by Stance. Check out the Icon collection from Stance. Premium comfort, performance, durability, design for every day brings. Use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for 20% off your purchase. Stance, the official Major League Baseball sock partner. Learn more at stance.com. As always, make sure you're checking out all the episodes and making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever you get podcasts. We do certainly appreciate that. And if you want to continue the conversation after the show is over, you want to ask questions about trade rumors and this guy or that guy, or maybe you just want to vent about what's going on, because honestly, that's what a lot of people want to do right now. Check out the Everydayer Club. That gets you access to ad-free versions of the show, but it also gets you involved in the listener Discord, which features other Guardians fans, other listeners of the show, Jeff, myself, and there's also Discord channels for every team out there. So you want to keep up on LeBron James watch, or you want to know what the Orioles are going to do at the deadline, you can check out their Discord channels too as part of the Everydayer Club. That's lockedonguardians.supercast.com. Check the link in your show notes to learn more. Sign up now for a 7-day free trial while that is still applicable, because changes are coming. Be on the lookout for some new exciting offers from the Everydayer Club. So, Jeff, you were saying before off air and even on air that, yeah, the Lauder should have bunted and this or that. And we were talking about, I think, even during the game, like, you didn't pinch hit Austin Hedges to try to bunt, and you you put Arias into pinch run and play first base, and then you didn't pinch hit Petey Alpin until late in the game when it didn't matter. I have to ask though, like, everyone's like, decision this, decision that, and doesn't make sense. And I'm like, at some point, these guys got to perform. They got to execute and come through. So I know a lot of people want to throw the blame on Stephen Vogt too for certain decisions, and that's fine. Like, he's a manager, he's a coach, he's a man, he's 40, he can take the criticism. Comment if you remember that reference. Doing all the cliche football references today, but I can get there and say, like, yeah, he could do this or that. I can Monday morning quarterback all this and that, but at the same time, some of these guys got to come through. Like, Schneeman's been ice cold for a while. You know, Halpin kind of is who he is. Arias, you don't know what to expect. And as far as relievers go, like, Gaddis has been fine. He just had a bad day. And then Cade Smith gives some hits. And then you get to extra innings, you run out of guys to trust. So it's like, okay, we have to go to Eric Sabrowski, who unfortunately has just not been consistent since coming back. Like, Hoskins, Manzardo, who went back into the tank today at 0 for 4. Like, at some point, these guys got to come through. Like, these are the guys in your roster. So you can Monday morning quarterback all these decisions all you want, but some of these guys got to start either performing or it's not going to matter. Because I always say, like, managers are like icebergs. 90% of what they do is below the surface. Like, it's clubhouse maintenance and ego maintenance, and 10% of it is game decisions. Jeff is speechless, so he must agree with me.
I mean, I do agree with a lot of what you're saying, but like, I also do think like it's just dumb to throw Gabby Arias out there as a pinch runner because he doesn't run well. Let's be honest. But hey,
that was a weird one for sure.
Everyone's saying like, that he's a this and that type of player. Apparently, Stephen Vogt does not agree with you because he put him out there in that situation. And the whole reason he went out is because he was going to play first base. It's like you can. And there's that one I think makes a degree of sense only if you think that you're going to pinch hit for Halpin, who's going to come up that inning, because the fact of the matter is that Halpin, he had the 2 home runs, but outside of that, it's been kind of a rough go, and he does not walk at all. So like, it's going to be contact, or it's going to be, like it's a bit of all or nothing with Halpin. So, you send out Arias, Bailey can't bunt. And then I believe next was Halpin. And then like what I was saying there is you got to pinch hit for Hedges. If nothing else, let Hedges swing away. He's, got a 180 WRC plus over the last 30 days. Like, he's been one of arguably your best hitter with Chase Lada over the last 30 days. And yes, it's a day game after a night game. They're gonna have another game tomorrow. So, but it's the perfect time to do one at bat. He can handle one at bat after catching. So, it's like,
what's interesting though is that Bailey played Wednesday. It wasn't Hedges. It was Bailey. So Bailey played a day game after a night game.
True. Okay, you're right. I totally
that's even weirder.
It is, but it's like
just even stranger.
Well, I assume we'll for sure get Hedges tomorrow, which is again, like, I mean, I feel like they're protecting Hedges to a degree because of his age.
Well, Hedges also catches Parker.
Yeah. Very specifically. He used to be specifically Gavin's guy as well, but as we saw today, Bailey served fine. But either way, it's like I pinch it there for Hedges. Like, the Hedges spent the whole time on the bench. And yeah, I know he's like supposed to be the best bunter on the team, but I'm not even saying like pull Bailey for Hedges. Just go let him swing away. And then and then at the end of the game, why Schneeman has a 26 WRC plus over the last month. Him and David Fry are at 26 and 27, significantly lower than everybody on the team. They are by far and away the 2 worst hitters on this team over the last 30 days. Just because Schneeman's going to replace Halpin defensively, if somehow you tie the game up, doesn't mean he needs to be the guy to hit. Have Hedges hit at the end of the game, especially because there's a good chance no matter what the game's over. So go let Hedges hit. Don't send out Schneeman to hit. Like, I'm a big believer in Schneeman as a 26 man. I think his speed and defense, what he brings, are very positive. He's a streaky guy. There's good stretches. There's bad stretches. Yes, he does need to hit his way out of it, but this is not the time to have him hit out of it. Go have Hedges hit. And then, Chase, yes, I get it. He's better against, he's hit lefties very well this year in the big leagues, but that's noise. That's a small sample size. He's struggled with lefties throughout his career in the minors to small degrees. Like, he's been much better against righties and lefties. Like, he should have laid down a bunt. I'm sorry. Like, advance the runner, 1 out, runner on second and third is a ton more. Yeah, it's a ton more pressure on the pitcher. It makes everyone tighten up. It makes everything more difficult. Like, that was silly. Like, I think, yes, I agree with you. 90% of what happens is the part of the iceberg you can't see. But I think today it was a bunch of weird calls, and they stood out because it failed. Like, you can't make weird calls and then fail.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're not going to press every correct lever every single time. Sometimes
one could argue they were through. Offensively. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter what you do at all with the levers offensively.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying with the levers, like, Schneemann is, I mean, I know why he pinched Schneemann to end the game, because at that point you're looking for an extra base hit and you're more likely to have Schneemann run into one at that point, which that's fine. But
are you? I mean, he's been the worst hitter on the team. You would argue Fry's got a better chance, or even Hedges has a better chance.
What's interesting about speaking about Fry and Arias too. What's interesting is that at the end of the game, somebody asked about Arias playing first and how that all factors in, and he was saying that they like having Arias available to play first base because on the days that one of Manzardo and Hoskins is playing first and DHing in the same lineup, they wanted to have another option available to them late in the game to play first or do something to make a more versatile all-on roster. And I'm like, that just seems odd because, like, in theory, both of those guys should be here for their bat. You don't want to take them out of the lineup, but you're not really getting a whole lot of consistency out of them. So it's just a very weird
and
argument.
David Fry's right there.
Right, exactly. Well, he said Fry too, and I just like,
okay.
I just wonder, like, is one of those guys kind of running out of options? Is their iceberg starting to melt a little bit? I don't know. But yeah, no, I think like it doesn't matter. If you all the leverage you have to pull come up empty, like.
I mean, I think both things can be true. I think he made bad decisions. Yeah. I honestly think he made bad decisions outside of like Holderman, and I don't blame Sobrowski because like who else are you going to throw? You might as well. In terms of like the pinch hitting and the hitters, great. I think he pulled the wrong levers, and I think the team also didn't execute. I think it's both.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, oftentimes I think that's the important thing to remember on days like today when you're frustrated and things go poorly like that is like. A lot of things can be true at once. Baseball is a team game. They lose and win they win and lose as a team, and a lot of things can be true at once because it's a complex game. So I think that's important to remember. It's not always black and white. All right. Speaking of Matt Festa, Jeff, we're going to continue to talk about how the Guardians are going to find a way to upgrade this team at the deadline. We'll talk relievers, but we're also going to talk which positions they can actually upgrade because everyone wants to trade for this player and that player, but who on the roster is actually going to lose their spot? Who can they actually move on from to upgrade the team? We're going to discuss that next. This baseball season, make everything a little bit more exciting. And on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade on every single game. We are getting down to the wire here. The stretch run's coming up. I'm sure you could find players to trade on in terms of who's going to be traded at the deadline. But we'll just go ahead and look at the Guardians on Friday in Tampa Bay. It is Parker Messick, who will be pitching pretty close to his hometown, and he'll have being opposed by Shane McClanahan, who's a tough lefty. So it might be a tough night for the Guardians. But Parker Messick's going to want to pitch really well because he's going to be pitching close to home. I'm sure a lot of people there in Tampa showing up. Right now, the Guardians are trading at 46%. So it was 45% before we started recording. Now it's 46%. Looking like they're going to lose. So you can go and throw 50 down and say the Rays will lose, meaning the Guardians will win. And that sends you back with 106 on that 47% odds. And that's because on Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market. There is no house. So as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. So if that goes up and you like it, you can kind of check out on that one trade, the draft pick, the game, more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app. Use code LOCKEDON to get up to 500 in bonus credits when you trade 25 KALSHI. Kalshi trade on anything 18 plus. Only restrictions, eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. As always, make sure you're doing all the things that are free, which is auto downloading on your favorite audio platforms. I think you can get the podcast pretty much everywhere these days. So no excuse if you're a regular listener and say, I can't find the show. Auto download. It'll be right there for you. And
probably watch us on your fridge the way those things are being made anymore.
Yeah. Let us know if you're watching us on your fridge, or please don't watch on YouTube in your car. I've seen the screens on cars now where you can like pull up YouTube videos on your car. Please don't do that. Please drive and just listen. We have, at least I do have a face for radio anyway. So we prefer that you drive safely while listening to the podcast, because Lord knows the Guardians are frustrating enough that could make you want to drive all over the place. But hit the bell on YouTube so you get notified when videos go live, so you can check them after you are safely somewhere else and can look at your phone. And I also want to throw out 2 shout outs here again today too. Our friend everydayer David Yoder, who I know is also could use some good wishes and some positive thoughts. And again, I also want to throw out Arthur. If you've been on Twitter, on Guardians Twitter, and you've been on some of our live streams too, could also use some very positive wishes his way. You've likely interacted with him, whether he's found some obscure random stat or note on a game or a practice or something. He's always got some kind of obscure fact.
He's always the first one to, like, the minute he must have all the alerts on, because like he's the one who tipped me off that like we still only have 2 draft picks who have signed. It was thanks to Arthur. The whole thing with Pablo Figueroa, that shocking thing. Like, I mean, Arthur isn't breaking those, but he finds out and alerts me. Like, you guys get more up-to-date information because he's on top of things more than Justin and I are, and then he alerts us both. So,
and overall, Arthur's just a good human and
yes,
wants the best for everybody else, and he could certainly use your positive wishes right now. So yeah, check that out. Okay, so realistically, let's start this way. I know you got some relief names you want to throw my way, but let's start here, because everyone's like, oh, trade for this, trade for this guy, and like, yes, we know the Guardians need. I still think they need 2 relievers. I think they do. Whether they can get 2 relievers or not is another story. Positionally on the offensive side of things, like if you just look at the roster, like, okay, who actually do you think, Jeff, whose spot can be removed to upgrade his piece? Like, just me looking at the roster, I'm like, okay, like
who they can or who they'll be willing to.
Both. I think you can answer both. Like, to me, it's like, okay, I'm confused because like, okay, they're increasing Arias' versatility because Jose came back, and they're saying these weird things about Arias, even though he is maddening. And then it's like, okay, well, David Fry has given them nothing. Rhys Hoskins hit 2 home runs this week, and then it's just been like, okay. And then
last 30 days, he's got a 121 WRC plus because it's home runs or nothing.
Yeah. So like, who are you moving on? Who do you think that whose roster spot is like fungible if they can make an upgrade, and who do you think they'll actually move on from?
I don't. God, here's the problem. It's like I look at this team and I'm like, to me, David Fry. Yeah, I think David Fry is the most fungible, and then I think Rhys Hoskins after that, because like, I mean, Hoskins, they aren't paying him anything, but he's got a 98 WRC plus. He has a massive reverse split. Like, he's not hitting lefties at all, which is what they brought him in to do.
Just
like so he can't actually hit lefties. He's got like a 120 versus righties and a 60 versus left. Like, he's not hitting lefties at all this year. And, he has the lowest expected batting average of baseball, not batting averages and everything. He does walk a lot, so his on base is passable, but his slug is sub 400. He's here to hit lefties and have some pop. Yeah, he's got 11 home runs, but like, it's not enough pop, right? It's not enough on base. So to me, Hoskins and Fry. Now the problem is, Hoskins, I think, is loved on that team. So unless they get a clear upgrade, I don't know if they're moving on from him. And David Fry should be the first guy off this roster. Him and Halpin are on equal footing to me. Fry has really done nothing to continually earn this spot outside of a hot 2 months and the occasional home run here or there. But I think it just feels like throughout the past few years, Vogt really likes him. Vogt believes in him. I think Vogt sees some of himself in David Fry as a bat first catcher who had to play multiple positions. And I don't know. I'll be curious to see what happens. I do think, as much as people get annoyed at Gabby, it's like, I don't think he's the guy they're moving on from, because they're finding more ways to make him,
keep him on the roster.
So, give him more versatility. And then bullpen wise, Festa and Dion right there, pretty easy. And if we assume, that, Dion,
I think the bullpen part is easy to figure out.
It's like, yes. I know people say Armstrong. Again, I'll say that Armstrong is better in the second half, so we'll see. According to Fangraphs, in the last 14 days, he's the 22nd best reliever in baseball, and Gaddis is the 4th, and Kate Smith's the 17th. Now, I don't know what that power ranking means on Fangraphs, but that's interesting to see. But Sabrowski has really struggled. Alaman has been pretty solid, but he also feels like a trade asset, if I'm being real honest. So I do think it's kind of like Alaman, Festa, Dion / Heron are kind of the 3 spots where you might look for improvement.
Yeah, the bullpen, I think, is the easier spot to see where things could change. I think it's the lineup where things are hard. Like, you can keep Schneeman around to play multiple positions and pinch run, be in there for defense. Like, okay, I was going to say you keep Arias around for defense because, like, you could, in theory, at the end of a game, if you want to play better defense, you could put him at short, move Roki over to second. I don't know if they would do that to Bazana, but you could but you could also put Sheeman at second base. So like you don't necessarily need both of them. I think the odd man out is Fry personally, because like his biggest asset to this team was he was hitting lefties for whatever time it was, and then B,
1 year.
He was the third catch. Yeah, well, a couple months of 1 year, and then B, he was also your third catcher, and that was like, oh, really great to have that. But it's like, well, unfortunately, Bailey is actually a really good catcher, and he's also hitting decently right now, and Hedges has been good all year offensively too, and he's also a good defender. So it's like you don't really have that need for the third catcher. And yeah, Fry can play the outfield. That's great. And he can play first. But like if you're not getting the bat out of him, what's the point? So I think Fry is unfortunately a fungible guy.
It feels to me like Hoskins, unless you're going to send down Manzardo, and that has not been their operating procedure. I mean, I'm not opposed, I got to be honest, but that has not been their operating procedure. If you go out and add a bat, still feels like Hoskins is the guy to replace.
I guess it depends where you add is the question, but it's like
opening up DH
Yeah, I would like to see DeLauder DH a little more, but you can also have DH open if you do, so you can keep things flexible and you're not bound to just one specific player. Like Halpin obviously will go for Martinez, and then you have Kwan who's going to play every day, and then you have Martinez who will play every day, and then
I will say DeLauder, this. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. I'll be quiet.
It's fine. No, I was just going to say you have Kwan, you have Martinez, you have DeLauder. Those are three everyday guys. You could have DeLauder DH and open up right field, but you could also play him in right and open up DH. So like you're not bound to one position if you're going to upgrade offensively. But the guy whose roster spot to me is most on the line. If it's not Fry, then it's Hoskins. I agree.
And here's our problem right now. So David Fry is tied for sixth in terms of WRC plus against lefties. He's behind Manzardo, Schneemann, Hedges, Ramirez, and DeLauder, tied with Rocchio. And Rhys Hoskins is 10th. The only players worse than him against lefties this year. And again, this shows just how silly some of their platoon choices, Stephen Kwan and Gabe Arias. Arias can't hit lefties at all this year. All of his damage is against righties.
Yeah, so, it's hard. Those stats are so noisy year to year. It's so hard at this point.
And Arias
got like a major track record.
And Arias is at 36 plate appearances, but Kwan, we know historically, outside of that first year, can't hit lefties. The only person that is worse than Hoskins is Kwan. So he is not doing it all. So if you go out and trade for a bat, I do feel like Hoskins is a natural choice to let go.
Yeah, he's another one where it's just like the clubhouse too factor is there. And I mean he can run into one every now and then. So it's like they seem to value that, but at the same time, like I don't know. I would be more willing to move on from Fry just because I think Hoskins can show you more power more consistently.
No, agreed. Agreed.
I think Fry makes more sense, but I know you want to talk a little bit relievers today, but we're kind of short on time. So you want to save any more relief targets for
Sure. Yeah. I had one fun one, but we'll get to it on Monday.
We'll come back to it on Monday. Yeah, Monday we'll come back. We'll wrap up this Rays series, which will be difficult because the Rays are good. Everyone's going to be thrilled to see Junior Caminero, of course.
It's Cleveland South. I mean, they've got three of the guys, three of their starters are Cleveland
Richie
guys.
Palacios. Yeah, it'll be.
Is Cole Solster still in their pen?
No, I think he's been gone for a little bit. But yeah, your matchups are Shane McClanahan, Cantillo, Nick Martinez, and Tanner Bybee. Nick Martinez has been awfully tough on them, and then Drew Rasmussen and Parker Messick. Will pitch on Sunday. So
no, Cole's still there, so that makes 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just saw the Guardians are scheduled to face Chase Burns on Monday. So this is going to be a rough 4-game stretch. I just don't get swept don't get swept this weekend. That's all I ask.
Draft pick signing deadline is Monday at 5 p.m. So we'll talk about that when we come back, as well as what looks again to be a rough weekend. Thank you all for joining us. Remember, rate and review, download daily. It helps. And go Guardians, go.